Sleep in. Meh. Who else is not sleeping in with me on this Monday morning? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Is this even working? Oh, it's a tech day. Not. Who's here with me? Let's see here. Let's see if we can get Facebook to work. There we go. I am live. Hello, good morning. Sorry for the tardiness. My laptop, I get here a couple minutes early and my laptop was like, I think I'm sick. You ever get that where you plug it in and I don't know, it was like, I don't think I charged last night. I don't feel good. I don't want to go to school. Like my laptop just was being a whiny kid this morning. So toughed it out and we're here. So thanks for sticking with me and good morning. Who's here? I didn't even know, like, I had such a great weekend. I woke up this morning and literally had no idea what day it was. I'm like, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? It's Monday? I don't know. I'm sure many of you have probably been feeling that this whole quarantine. I think now that it's been over a month for me, like the wonkiness is starting to set in. Like I was fine. Like I was in a groove, which is weird because I'm in a groove now. Like it's almost like I've got a day job, right? Like Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Here I am. And yet, for some reason, this morning, my brain was just not knowing what was up. So if you are feeling like that, and if you have been feeling like that, just another confirmation that you are not alone. So good morning. You are watching TQN with me, Cassandra Renee, aka Wild Blossom Beacon Coaching. And it is Monday, in case you didn't know. And what do we do on Mondays? Mondays, we focus on what we're manifesting for the week, getting primed and ready for the week. So even if you are not currently working, this is a great opportunity to say, like, all right, well, what am I going to do with my week? How can I, because we're creatures of habit, right? And we tend to, most of us, thrive when we have some sort of a routine, some sort of a pattern. And when we go through times without having that, like, oh, I don't know, our teenage years or freshman years of college, chaos can kind of ensue. And we're trying, like, our internal rhythm is searching frantically for some sort of normalcy. And yet there's that rebel or that excitement or that depression that kicks in and it's just like, either I got to see and do all the things, or I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do or how to see or do all the things. So I'm just going to recoil instead. And so even if you are the rebellious kind of person, and this has always kind of confused me because I'm a very free-spirited person. However, I do thrive with structure. And something that I have come to learn is, I talk about the balance between, good morning, Steve. I talk about the balance between the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, right? And something that I've come to learn is that, the masculine is known for the structure, whereas the feminine is known as the fluidity. And throughout our lives, we go through these periods of having structure and then, free form. And I have always been somebody who I love my structure, but at the same time, I want my structure to allow for me to just be spontaneous. And it sounds like a total oxymoron. But what I've learned is that to thrive as kings and queens, we have that healthy balance of masculinity and femininity. And what that means is the masculine having structure. It's like the glass, right? Shout out to Buffalo, where you cannot contain that fluidity, that liquid, that delicious cleansing water or wine or whiskey, whatever your vice is. No judgment. It's 6 a.m. Who cares? This is water, by the way. But you can't have it, this fluidity, you can't consume that fluidity, you can't possess it without having a proper structure for it, right? So there is balance in all things. There is that harmony. And so it's just kind of a reminder to take a look at, even if you are watching this as a replay or watching it on YouTube, whenever you get around to it, if you haven't already come to find some sort of a structure in your quarantine, you probably kind of actually already have. Good morning, Rick. Because by nature, we're kind of searching for that. And so I invite you, being Manifest Monday, to take a look and type in the comments and let me know what it is you are looking to manifest this week, whether it is structure. And I will tell you that when you are seeking to create something, whether it's achieve a goal, whether that goal is attaining something or relieving of something, shedding something you no longer need, creating those rituals, those habits, that structure. It can look different every day, but saying like, okay, at this time, I'm going to do some form of exercise at this time of day, or even maybe not at this time, but, at some point during the day, like as loose as possible, right? The most least form of structure. At some point in the day, I'm going to do some form of exercise, or I'm going to do some sort of meditation, or I'm going to do some sort of action that's going to take a step towards this goal, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the loosest form of structure. The tightest form is at this hour, this happens, this. I used to be very militant and rigid in my structure, and I've come to find out that hard-headedness just came with a lot of pressure and a lot of internal natter if I didn't live up to my own personal expectations. And so I'm actually really excited because last week I redesigned, I revamped, and everything's trial and error, right? You don't know unless you try. So dive in. So last week I decided to redesign what this week is going to look like and give it a week, see what happens. So I'm really excited because I've built in play and free form into the structure of my day. So I've always been the geek that gets really excited about my schedule and a new planner. And if you can't tell by now, I have at least 2 physical planners plus my calendars. So that's just where I come from. But I'm starting to realize, I'm starting to go through the process of which ones do I actually really enjoy working with, which ones do I need, and which ones are just filler for time. And you don't know that until you go through and you really start to know who you are by the process of doing. And this is where I'm segueing into this week. We're going to start talking about character. Now, what is character? Character is defining qualities, characteristics of a noun, a person, place, or thing. So what is a defining quality of you? What is a defining quality of your goals, of the community you're a part of or that you serve, the company you work for, the relationship you're in? So we're going to dive into that because we've already touched on getting your baseline for health and wellness. We've touched on starting to be conscious of your thoughts, which then form your words, which then should be forming your actions. And if they're not aligned, then we've got to figure out where the kink is and realign, right? We dug down into our beliefs, and this is very closely related to all of that. And then we got into the forgiveness aspect of things where we're able to dig down and actually kind of excavate and find out what's true for you. So today, this week, we're going to dive even more into our own personal truths and find out what really does define us. And this can be very challenging for a lot of people, myself included, because who I was when I was 18 versus who I was when I was 10 versus 22 versus 24 versus 27 versus 29 versus 34, not the same. And life can throw its trials at you, and we have a tendency as a human race to, if our morals and values and conviction, if our character is not so clearly defined and aligned or beat into us, that's another option, that we can get off track and we just get so far into life that one day we wake up and we're like, who the hell are you? Where am I? Who is this in the mirror? Like, what am I even doing with my life? Is this really what I've become? And welcome to your quarter life crisis. And then a couple years later, wait. I thought I just had my quarter life crisis. Why is this happening all over again? And so on and so forth. And that's okay. First off, you don't need to beat yourself up over it. Yes, it's become a normal thing. Are we to blame? Kind of. But as is our environment, as is our parenting, as is a multitude of things. And the fact of the matter is that we have so many more distractions in this day and age than we had growing up our entire lives. Well, growing up in generations prior to now. And so we are being faced with so many different options to escape, so many different options to not have to know ourselves, right? We've got virtual reality. We've got online communities where we can literally create an entirely different persona and effectually get lost in that, where we can move. How many of you guys have moved to different towns, cities, states, and recreated a whole new life for yourself? Hello, that's what the city of Los Angeles is. If you were not born and raised as a Los Angelian, which most of the people there are not, they're people who just redefined who they are. I was one of those people. And I did the same thing when I moved to Vegas. I did it when I moved to Buffalo from Nunde. I did it when I moved to Long Island, and I did it when I moved to Brooklyn. Sometimes we do it consciously, sometimes we do it subconsciously, and often it's a combination of the two. And we attempt as best we can to take the best qualities that we admire in ourselves and bring them with us. But I go back to that reference of the game of telephone. Stuff gets lost along the way. Who you are, who you really are, doesn't ever get lost. It just gets buried. You forgot. You're not broken. You just forgot who you are. And so it's having these types of practices, having these morning rituals, these routines where you go in and you meditate, where you go in and you connect with your higher source, where you keep yourself physically active, where you get your body moving, you make sure to feed yourself good food, proper nutrition, that sort of thing. So that way you can be at your, a well-oiled machine, so that you can be able to be in alignment and run effectively, so that you can have the ability, without clouded judgment, without these other things demanding your attention of aches and pains and worries and everything like that, to come back and say, wait, thoughts, words, actions, beliefs, wait, where am I out of alignment here? What feels off? Refocus. And so I think now is as good a time as any to redefine who you actually are. And, I've seen a lot online with reassessing the relationships. And don't worry, we'll get to that later on about relationships. That's actually way further. When I go through my programs, that's actually way further at the line, because this is what I do is I help coach people to get back in touch with themselves And if we introduce relationships into it too early on, you don't have that stable foundation back to you. It's easier to crumble that. So we will get to the relationship factor of being solid in your own foundation. We definitely will. But being able to come back and say, this is who I am. This is what works for me. This is in alignment with my goals, my values. And maybe these other things, people, these actions are not serving them. Maybe they have to take a timeout. So being in quarantine, I've noticed a lot of things going on lately where people are starting to talk about notice who's there for you. Notice who's showing up for you. Who's been checking in on you. And I actually had a moment myself this weekend where I had to say, you know what? Yes, there have been people who have showed up out of nowhere that I haven't talked to in months, if not years, that were like, hey, is everything okay? Are you all right? What can I do for you? And that meant so much, especially if you can relate to this. If you're the one that's always seen as the strong one, the resilient one, that no one ever checks on you. No one ever thinks to ask, hey, are you doing all right? And I started actually reevaluating my own character. Now, please keep in mind when I say reevaluating, I'm not talking about picking yourself apart. I'm not talking about judging. I'm simply saying observing and questioning, is this true for me? Cool. And so I started looking at it and saying, okay, so that is, a feather in my cap that I am strong. I am resilient. I am nurturing. But that doesn't mean I don't require, it doesn't mean that I'm not still human, that I don't have my moments where having somebody reach out and ask me how I'm doing to see if I'm okay. But then that's the other part to it. You have to know yourself to be able to know when you aren't okay. And to be able to say, you know what? I'm not looking for help or assistance, but I am really grateful that you reached out. It means a lot. See, that's a way that you can say that, you know what, I actually do need somebody to reach out to me without sounding needy. And that's something that I have worked through a lot of my life because I had to be strong, right? I came from having to prove my worth. So I always had to be strong. And that's how I achieved my value, was by being strong and being the go-to person, the one with all the answers, the one that people knew that they could turn to if they had a question or were stressed out or needed assistance with something. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, especially when they're just going through life trying to figure out the best they can, which is most of us. But people don't realize that. And so I had to really look at how I am showing up, not only to myself, but to other people in my world. And it's not about saying, oh, I'm putting up the wrong signals type of thing. It's about just looking at it like, okay. And one of the exercises that we will get to throughout this section, if you will, of Rise and Shine, is we will get to actually asking other people how they see you. Because while this is a very self-reflective practice and show, it's very good to ask the people closest to you, like, hey, really, how do you see me? Because if you see yourself as flailing and drowning and totally insecure and not sure how you're managing anything, good morning, Richie. And yet your closest friends see you the total opposite, that can actually do wonders for your confidence. And it can help you see yourself in a whole new light, which can help you to improve the very things that you didn't realize. Conversely, if you think you're an excellent communicator and half the time your friends are just like, I actually, we love you, so we just nod our heads and smile, but we actually have no idea what you're talking about. Without knowing that, you're not able to deepen and strengthen your relationships, or maybe you're having issues manifesting your goals because that could be a factor because you're not relating properly, right? So we will get to that. So this again is just getting back to understanding your character, your defining qualities, and really getting real with yourself. This is not a judgment thing. We're not taking shots of Comparschlager. Good morning, Randy. Thanks for being here. It's just about saying, like, you know, what is an elephant? An elephant is a pachyderm. It's a mammal. It's got leather-like skin. It's got it looks grayish. Sometimes it's brownish. It's got tusks. Like it's just looking at it for what it is. Now we can get into the esoterics of what it can be, but these are not judgments. So you're defining characteristics. So if you guys want to start typing in, again, reminder, it's Manifest Monday. So let's declare what it is that we are manifesting for the week. And we're talking about your character. So if you guys also would like to start typing in, what are some defining characteristics of yourself? Just to just throw them out there. Like for me, for example, and you can call me out on this if I'm wrong. Strong, effective communicator. I am inspirational, both in that I absorb things to be inspired by and I inspire others. I live my life in service to inspire others. Defining characteristics. I am female. I have long, straight hair. So you can go with the physical, because that's typically where it starts if you're not used to this kind of work. But the quality of the work is when you get into the meat of it. I'm strong, I'm an effective communicator, I'm inspirational, I am a leader, I am driven, I am resilient, those kind of things. And this isn't a resume. We're not fluffing you up to impress anybody. This is really going within and seeing. So, keeping that in mind, going to say a few things. The first thing I'm going to say is something that was said by Ralph Waldo Emerson. People do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of character. So it's not just how you see yourself. How you see yourself is also the way you see the world. That's that whole thing where you can tell, like, Napoleon complexes, or where people are overcompensating for things. You can see how they act, how they treat people. Especially single people, watching the way people treat others when you go out, when you're able to go out again on dates. See how they treat wait staff, service staff. See how they're always told growing up, pay attention to the way a guy treats his mother. Not only that, pay attention to the way a guy treats the wait staff at a restaurant. My goodness. Yeah. Dated a couple of doozies where I was just like, oh, that's just how successful people operate. No, that's how jerks operate. No way. So you take a look at that. And I actually literally had a guy I dated, total side note. He went downstairs to get the Postmates. And I heard the door open, I heard the plastic bag rustle, and then I heard the door shut. And I heard the person say hello. And he walks up the stairs, and I go, did you just slam the door shut in that person's face? And he's like, yeah, why? I'm like, that is so incredibly rude. What? That? Oh, well, like, I'm not going to waste energy on, I mean, it's one thing to like channel your energy and focus on what serves you, but this guy was taking it to extremes. Sociopath. And he straight up said, I do not waste energy on people who are not relevant in my life. I'm like, first off, they're human, so they're relevant, period. And second off, they are relevant in your life. They brought you the food that you ordered. So the least you can do is say hello. And if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, that person knows where you live. Don't be a jerk. Like, if not out of human compassion, try being nice for the sake of your own personal wellness. Oh, I'm protected. I've got resources that like, and just excuses. And it's like, that is a major like warning signs, right? And what did I do? Well, I got better at identifying the warning signs, although I did take a few red flags and decorate my room with them, but not as many as I used to. So yeah, people just don't seem to realize the way people treat others in society, in life, is a reflection, not just necessarily, now you can have your hangry Snickers moments, right? But in general, that's a reflection. That's a confession of the way they see themselves. And you've probably heard me talk about this before, where I say how the world is a mirror, right? So, no, I'm not going to share that. Let me see. I've got something else I can share. Let's see. Whenever, and I would love it if you guys would like to share this. Something that you have seen or heard lately, for better or worse, that has come up for you, that has triggered you. Whether it has triggered you in a good way, or triggered you like it inspired you, or triggered you in a way that upset you. Because I talked about this last week, about leaning into, like, when something, especially when it triggers you in kind of an unpleasant way, to lean in and almost be like, tell me more. Because that's going to help you get to know yourself better. And sure, I can already hear it. I know myself. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. Are you the same person today as you were a month ago? Are your mental faculties fully intact as they were? Has nothing shifted even a little bit? My guess is something has shifted in some way, shape, or form. Not saying you went crazy, not saying that you went off the deep end, or you're all of a sudden miraculously this amazing human when you were a jerk before. I'm not saying any of that. But everything happens for you, not to you. So there's a good chance that how you are handling things, going back to, what I said earlier, where this shows who's really there for you. It's a confession of character. When it comes down to the wire, you find out who your friends are, that country song. Like, how people respond in crucial situations, in new situations. It shows their grit, shows their conditioning, shows their character, shows what they're about. And take a look at the way you've been responding to things. Just throwing it out there. So anyway, keep that quote in mind as you go through your day. People do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of character. I got plenty more quotes where that came from. We'll just keep that one in mind. So, would you like some affirmations for the week? To get you started, I'll give you one affirmation for the day. And actually, this is really, really funny. I've got some things that are shifting in my life, and I believe that they're going to shift very, very, very rapidly. And I'm very excited. Not sharing those yet. But I have my affirmations. I started writing them on index cards. Sorry, one second. Dahlia, good girl. My little dog is trying to be mischievous this morning. And so I have all of these affirmations on index cards, and I have many of them, not so much anymore, but when I was first starting to get into affirmations, I would post them all over. And I highly recommend that with anyone getting into affirmations, to not just have an index stack where you're like going through them throughout the day or in the morning, but have them like on your mirror, just kind of scattered around. So they're little blessings that you see throughout your day. Plus, as you're going about your day, you're subconsciously reinforcing them. Well, I made a decision yesterday that something is going to happen. A few things are going to happen. And I made a clear decision of how things are going to fall in line, but leaving it up to source as far as exactly how. But I put it out there. And I had a realization when it came down to finances and everything yesterday that I was really, really excited about. I had some breakthroughs last night. And I went to bed with a major smile on my face, had a really great powwow conversation with one of my best buds, and I was feeling awesome. And I took my glasses off to go to bed, and they fell down between my mattress and my bed frame. And thanks, Randy. Enjoy your meeting. And I was like, oh man. And I knew that if I didn't grab my glasses right then and there, I was going to wake up this morning and have no idea where my glasses are, and probably spend the next couple of days, even though I have 2 pairs of glasses and I'm back to wearing my contacts. Yay. That it would probably be a while before I would go back and look for the glasses. So I was like, JDI, right? Just do it. So I turned the flashlight on my phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot find my glasses. Like, where the heck did these go? So I'm looking in all these places, and I finally see a little bit of glimmer. Well, as I go down, I thought it was like a mattress tag. I pull out this card, and it's one of my affirmation cards. Now, I don't have any of my affirmation cards by my bed. I haven't had anything pinned to the wall or anything at my bed. Now that I'm telling you the story, I actually remember, I think a few months back, I was starting to pull like a couple affirmation cards and having them by my bedside. But I put them back in the stack, and I put them back in my Zen den. Anyway, so I made this declaration to the universe, connected with source. Really high vibe, feeling it, going to bed. I go to grab my glasses, find the glasses like wedged, like way far. Like, how did they even manage to like noodle themselves down in this crevice with just a simple drop? Everything happens for you. This affirmation card said, no more excuses, action. When you are aligned, when you have clearly decided and defined who you are, what you're about, and you have your thoughts, your words, your actions aligned, when you congregate and commune with people and things and resources, they fall into place. You get these little blessings, these little gifts, these little nudges that, hey, your universal cheerleaders, these signs of like, yes, you've got this. Go, keep going. You're on the right track. And so it's really, really funny that, I'm not even kidding you guys, the first affirmation that I was going to give you for today happens to be the same affirmation card that was down at the bottom of my bed, wedged between my mattress and box spring, where my glasses fell and didn't just fall down to the floor, but literally wedged themselves in a little drop. There are no coincidences. You are so powerful. And that's, again, Manifest Monday. Collectively declare what it is you are manifesting, and you get aligned with things. And that's why the lucky people are constantly lucky, because success begets success, and you just keep that positive momentum. And that, my friends, is another defining characteristic of me. Would you like that to be a defining characteristic of yourself? It can be. Let's keep going. So I like to do a little exercise where we've already started. And if you haven't already, go ahead and permission granted to start writing down defining characteristics of yourself. Now, you probably, as you started that list, if you started it earlier in this episode, you possibly found yourself with a little bit of judgment with that. It's fine, it happens. But I'd like you to make a T-chart in your journal. So, and on one side, think of a person that you admire, genuinely admire. Could be a relative, a friend, a business guru, a celebrity, a YouTube personality, somebody that you admire. And write their name down. And then start writing down defining characteristics of that person. Then on the other side, defining characteristics of yourself. Now, as you do this exercise, do not take shots of Comparschlager. Okay? You're not saying, oh, she's so in tune with source, and I get downloads here and there. Like, no. They are their own separate human. You are your own separate human. You are not comparing. You're simply making a list. And you know what you can actually do is you can actually not even make a T-chart. Do 2 totally different pages and just do a brainstorming session. Like, know yourself, getting your characteristics, understand, are you at a point right now where you can put them on the same page? Or do you need to just not even look at that, write your own thing, and write your own thing for them? That's totally cool. When you're done writing this list, then you can go ahead and take a look. And again, you're not comparing, but take a look. Chances are you're going to see some of your characteristics reflected back at you in this person that you admire. Now, going back to what I said about thinking of a situation or someone or something that might have triggered you for better or worse, positive or negative this week or weekend, the world is your mirror. It's not showing you something to piss you off. It's not showing you something to prove how inadequate you are and how futile your efforts are because somebody else already did it. It's showing you what's available for you, what's possible for you. And if it bothers you, it's showing you perhaps a passion or an opportunity that you could go in to make a difference in. Or it's showing you something that maybe you didn't realize is actually of value and importance to you. It's those messages from the universe, right? Richie, you found a weed stalk under your bed, I'm guessing. Is that what that means? So the cool thing is, whatever this person is that you admire that came to mind, they came to your mind for a reason. You admire them for a reason. And when you're writing down these characteristics of them, this is reinforcing like why you admire them. They are kind-hearted. They are philanthropic. They set a goal and they achieve it. They are hardworking. They, whatever it is. Even if the defining characteristics on your list may not be those things yet, there is a desire in you to improve and get better at and be reflective of that. That's why you admire that person. That's why these characteristics are coming up for you in why you admire them. So if there are characteristics that you've written down about yourself that are not showing up there, but you would like them to be characteristics of you, here's the great news, guys. They can be. Think of this as like, we talked about the Cosmic Cafe. Think of this as the Cosmic Store. Like this is, well, we don't want to call it Amazon, so we'll call it Amazing. Welcome to Amazing. What would you like to be today? Ooh, I like that. I would like to be, well, amazing is a good quality. I think I would like to be amazing. But, I was looking at my shopping list here and I'm a little out of tenacity and motivation today. I would like to purchase those. Great, coming right up. Which kind of motivation and tenacity would you like? Would you like Les Brown motivation? Or would you like a little more like Marie Forleo motivation? You know what? I'm feeling a little bit more Marie Forleo today. Great. Put that in your shopping cart. It's available to you. Whatever flavor, whatever spin, however you're seeing it that appeals to you, it's there for you. It wouldn't show up in your awareness and be appealing to you if it wasn't something you're capable of receiving in your own way. Hey, Rudy, thanks for being here. So that's your challenge for today, is to create these two lists. Really get real with yourself. And you can even create 3 lists if you're an overachiever. Current defining characteristics of myself and defining characteristics of myself I don't think I have yet, but I would like. Key phrase there, I don't think I have yet. Because truth is, it's already there. And you could probably, if you really, really, really contemplated on it, you could probably find situations where it came up for you. Or your best friends could probably point out situations where, no, you kidding me? Yeah, you might be mousy and timid most of the time, but I remember when you stood up to that bully and you were ballsy. That was awesome. You can be courageous when you want to be. Or need to be. So that's your challenge for today, is to come up with the characteristics that define you, for better or worse, because there is no bad. There are opportunities for choosing king or queen, right? So your defining characteristics of you, and then the defining characteristics of somebody that you admire. If you would like to take this a step further, we know that we are products of our environments, partially. And it has been said that your net worth is your network. That your you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, your 5 closest friends. So maybe you do this exercise with defining characteristics of your closest friends. Help you see the company you really keep. Or perhaps might need to put on timeout. I'm not telling you to take any drastic action. Again, we have the relationship section coming way down the line. There is a way to lovingly and gently manage your relationships. So maybe you do defining characteristics of 5 people you admire, 5 celebrities, 5 people that you don't necessarily know, or people that you do know, living or deceased, historical or relevant currently. But pick at least one person that you really admire. And it doesn't have to be somebody who you think is like you, just somebody that, like, off the top of your head, like, usually your gut will pull up that person. I'm like, someone who I really admire. Who's the first person that comes to my mind? Well, currently, a couple of my mentors, but then my grandma usually pops in there. And this isn't to say that all these people who show up for you are mentor or are saints. You know, my grandmother popped up, and when I've done this exercise, she popped up there a lot. And yes, she was an amazing woman, but she was also a martyr. And there's a lot of qualities in there that I had to give back to her. Like, Grandma, I love you. You gave me a lot. I'm going to take these, but these are yours. You can take those. Those aren't serving me. Those can go back to the 20s where they worked then. The 1920s, not the 2020s. Those don't work anymore. So, so at least defining characteristics of yourself and then defining characteristics of somebody you admire. You want to be a real go-getter. You want to really dive in. Look at the 5 people that are closest to you and do those defining characteristics, whether you admire them or not. Just play around with that. Don't share that list. If you decide to do that one, hey, Brian, don't share that list with your friends. It's kind of like that episode of Friends where Rachel and Ross are kind of going through a breakup, and he writes down the pros and cons of being with Rachel. Yeah, we've all done that. We've all used that as a way to decide what's right for us. It's not a good thing to get leaked. No one wants to know the cons that you feel about them, especially when it comes in terms of friendships and relationships. So if you do choose to do this exercise about the 5 people closest to you, write it down and put that under lock and key, burn it, delete it, whatever you have to do. Don't share that. Don't post that publicly. That is a personal reference for you and for you alone. But yeah, 5 characteristics, or not 5 characteristics, defining characteristics of at least one person you admire, maybe 5, to kind of get your net worth. It's a good exercise. And it's also kind of a good exercise to do periodically, to when you find yourself in a new job, in a new location, in new circumstances, and just kind of check in here and there, like as you do, checks and balances, thoughts, words, actions. Is everything aligning? Are the people I'm surrounding myself with, are we aligned? Is everything going towards what my goal is, what my purpose is? So we've got a couple minutes left. I don't want to go over my time. Do you guys have any questions for me at the moment? I've got, these kind of bleed together. I could touch on it, but I suppose I would prefer to leave that for tomorrow. What are you guys manifesting this week? What are you up to? Gotta jump on a meeting right now. Good job. Thanks, Randy. Richie, Steve, my dudes, what are you guys manifesting this week? What are you up to? What's happening? I know you're up to something. What can I help you manifest today? Or Me Mondays, how are you prioritizing yourself today? What is one thing you are doing for you? And I know even as busy as I have been, admittedly, throughout all of quarantine, I'm still prioritizing play. I'm still making time for friends. I have a mastermind with one of my girlfriends today. And even though it's business, it's still play. Although we are taking that hour time dedicated specifically for our mastermind. And then after that hour, we can go and have virtual coffee and be girls. So that's exciting. That's something to look forward to. Have you guys scheduled in any virtual coffee dates, virtual hangouts with any friends or anything like that? I had one last week and it was amazing. I've got another one coming up with another girlfriend. And I'm all about these like virtual coffee dates. It's kind of fun. So what are you guys manifesting? Got 1 more minute to type it in. I suppose I can share, I am manifesting big change. I am manifesting new financial opportunities, new connections, new clients, and travel. Yes, all during a global pandemic. So it's very exciting. Anywho, that is my time here on the Quarantine Network for today. I will be back at 11:05 Pacific Standard Time for your midday mindset. So stay tuned for that. And if you guys, because I know there is a pretty big lag on this, if you guys are typing in, I will be checking this throughout the day to get back and respond to your comments and help you with whatever it is you are looking to manifest today. So in the meantime, thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a wonderful Monday, a wonderful week. And as always, cough in your elbows, wash your hands, and stay home. Love y'all. Bye.